I'm Dr. Noelle Crosby.
And I'm Dr. Lindsay Coble. Welcome back to the Sound Sisters, the Hearing Diaries, where we have honest discussions with women making a difference in hearing healthcare. Today, for our Be Curious segment, we want to highlight the conversation around reclassifying audiology as a non-professional profession. What this means is that it would change federal student loan eligibility. Now, we know there are opinions on both sides of the spectrum, but what we do know is that there's going to be more information on this in January. So what I would encourage you all to do is be involved in your state organizations, be involved and watch what our professional organizations are doing, and be prepared for the open comment that will come in 2026.
Yeah, so be curious about that because I'm not even sure what it all is going to mean for us at this point. Today, today's guest is part of the next wave of leadership in our profession, and she has a story to tell. Dr. Deven Martin, even though you are somewhat of a new grad, you have done a lot from being in the ENT to being a former manufacturer rep, and then now a practice owner, all since 2023. And you're a fierce advocate for ethical hearing care. So we are excited to talk to you today. And we are happy that you're here. And just tell us a little bit about what first pulled you into audiology and what made you stay.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. So really, I mean, it's a story like most other people. I was in speech in undergrad, and then when, you took that audiology course, I just was really type A, it fit with me, it clicked. And the rest is history. I just kind of decided that's more my speed. And then just having the background of knowing the importance of communication. Of course, that gives you like the mission behind it, of how you can help people. And you can kind of bridge that gap because we know how important communication is, but we can do it in a more type A brain way. So that is really how I found it. And then everything else since then, it's all just kind of stumbled like right in front of me. None of this was planned out. None of this was
I
expected.
love that.
I just, the funny part is most of the reasons like I left a job and looked for a new opportunity. Maybe it was because I just didn't like working with a certain person. Or at one point, I decided to move cities just to build my life. Like they were all small reasons. Um, but, sometimes life just kind of,
Life flows.
it
Builds.
flows and it tells you where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
what
how
is it? Life happens as you're planning for it to happen, and it's happening in front of you, right?
Oh,
And if you
yeah.
want to stick to your plan, sometimes that's not even the best thing
Yep,
for you.
not the best route.
Yeah,
That's
got
the
to go with the
perfect
flow.
Yep.
So you
So
graduated in 2023, is that correct?
I did,
What
yes.
would you say as what we consider a young graduate, what is your view of the field or what feels different for a new grad? What's kind of in the minds of new grads?
So I'm gonna be bold, and of course I can't speak for everyone. I can just speak for me and my circle. I personally feel like right now there are so many people, businesses, X, Y, and Z who really want a piece of the pie. And I think that's the biggest challenge for new grads. We're coming out the highest of student loans, highest cost of living, and then the lowest like base salary or X, Y, and Z. I remember in 2022, I think, or 2021, I was in my apartment. This was after COVID, and it was like, your regular rate. And then the next year they raised it like $800. So it's just like we are kind of facing a situation where if you were already a homeowner, you're not really seeing that kind of gravity.
Yeah.
But for us who maybe we previously weren't, our cost of living or our mortgage or whatever is double, and yet ENTs are offering me a base of 65K. That's kind of like I feel like on all of our minds. I had
Mhm.
my supervisors who have 100 plus K in student loans. I got lucky because I was in grad school during COVID,
Mhm.
so they cut off the interest. It
Mm.
was zero
Oh,
Mhm.
for
right.
about 2 years.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So
Oh,
that, I
that's
mean,
pretty
I'm
nice.
right, but
A perk. Mhm.
that's like, I think that's the biggest thing on all of our minds because we
Mhm.
just want to live our lives.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's
And
it. I
enjoy
just
it
want to
and
be
have a
Yeah.
nice
happy.
life.
Which, like we
Yeah.
said, part of our Be Curious segment kind of all alludes back to that. And it's such a good point. If you don't own a house, you haven't purchased your first car, the cost to
Yeah.
rent, I mean, the cost to travel and just live life it's so expensive, even for those of us who feel more established. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad you make that point of how young professionals really
Yeah.
are feeling.
Yeah.
And I know you guys probably can't relate to this so much, but when I was in school, of course, it was just I got my master's first, right? But I went to school, I worked, my grandmother helped me pay for school. I had there weren't even really student loans back then.
Mm-hmm.
I just managed, I worked on my own. I had my own apartment, but my grandma helped me pay for school. And so, it was hard for me to fathom the amount of debt that everyone's taking on now. Would I even have wanted to be an audiologist if I had had to do that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's a big question too. So what do you think a school did not prepare you for when you decided to go to school to be an audiologist and all the things you had to learn about the path of an audiologist?
It's a great question. I would say if I could give an answer to that of what we really like need right now, how to negotiate your salary or what
Mm,
to
Mm-hmm.
expect or how to even value how much you're worth. That kind of
Mm-hmm.
aspect.
yeah.
Because I feel like the new grads are kind of going in asking, well, how much will I be offered? How much will you offer me? And what we should be saying is, this is how much I'm worth, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm,
Because I'll be honest, like the money's there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but back to what I said in the previous question, you have investment firms. They own all the ENT offices now. You have these CEOs, these business entities, they own
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and they're trying to get away with paying us less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it's like, I wish I would have understood just a little bit more about behind the scenes, the business, and then also like advocating for our worth, because we can do it. It is possible. As opposed to, like I said, asking, well, what do you value me as?
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. 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 Which I think is so hard in like a hospital. Maybe I feel like hospital would be the hardest one where like insurance reimbursements maybe aren't great. And like you're saying, like a private practice setting, if you know how, especially in your fourth year, I feel like I was told that like keep track of how many hearing aids you sell in your fourth year. How much profit are you bringing in for the practice in your fourth year? Then when you go to get your first job, you have some legroom to negotiate. I had 6 months that I was selling 30 private pay units or whatever it was at X price point. Then you
From
have a
the,
leg to stand
right.
on, or.
Yeah. Is that when you were in the ENT, Lindsay?
Yeah, that was when I was in the
Yeah.
ENT. So, but somebody told me be ready to,
Yeah.
negotiate your salary and know where the money comes from because
Yeah.
you can't just throw out, I want to make $100,000 if you have no concept of how the practice makes enough money to pay you that. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good point. And I think it's just maybe I'm wrong, but I think students are told you should be making this much money. But I don't think in graduate school you're trained on wow, or
What
to
you need to
understand where
do.
does that money come from
Right.
and how do I contribute to be able to make that much money. So yeah, such a good
But this is,
conversation.
yeah, and this is great that I'm so glad that we're talking to you about that because I feel like as private practice owners, we also need to know where you're coming from. And
Mm-hmm,
maybe
mm-hmm,
it's a disconnect of what we know and what you know, and then what needs to happen for a new AUD to make as much as they want to. Like,
yeah.
what do they need to be able to achieve in the office and all
Mm-hmm,
of that? So it's a
mm-hmm,
good for us to be having this conversation about that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Devin,
Yeah.
on kind of on the same lines, as a newer grad, what is like the work-life balance that new grads are looking for? Do they want to work 5 days a week to make as much money as possible, or they want to work 4 days a week, or
Right.
short
Right?
days, or what is
Yeah.
like your circle of friends saying?
Great question. I would say
Yeah.
it's a healthy mix.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you've got the type where they want to drill, drill, drill because
Mm-hmm.
they want to pay off their student loans.
Make as much money as
So yeah,
possible. Yeah.
they want to drill,
Mm-hmm.
drill, drill. But still such an asset is being able to go home and you're not taking it back home with you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then you've got some who maybe they want, Fridays off, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more work-life balance in that regard. I think really the biggest thing we want though, again, my circle also in clinic, I come from ENT background,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even like a big chain ENT background. So,
Okay. Yeah.
environments can be different. So I think the biggest thing that I always yearned for and my friends always yearned for was just like a little bit more respect, to
Mm.
be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
And that
sure.
adds a whole new level to work-life balance
Mm-hmm.
because when you're at work, if you don't feel respected, then it's more exhausting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and I don't know, I consider that to be an aspect of work-life balance.
Yeah.
You're respected and you feel like the work you're doing, you're getting appropriately paid for X, Y, and
Mm-hmm.
Z. Like we feel better about that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You feel valued. You feel like I'm going to work for a reason. Yeah, we both came from ENT clinics. So, and I
Yeah.
think maybe that's one of the hardest atmospheres because of the layering of physician, doctor. You just don't
And the level
feel
of work
valued.
that you're
Yeah,
required to do.
yeah, right,
Yeah, you
right. At
definitely
a
have to have
pace.
the right mindset for that.
Yeah, at a
So,
pace where you don't feel like a soldier just showing
yes.
up and working fast. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you were in the ENT, I don't know how long, but then you transitioned in the
Mm-hmm.
short time that you've been a graduate to also being a manufacturer rep. So just talk to us a little bit about the contrast between, manufacturer ENT, manufacturer rep, and what made you make that decision to make
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that move.
So it was very unexpected. I decided to move cities for personal reasons, and I was actually approached with the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I had met some people at headquarters, and they were like, you know what, we think you'd be great for the position. And where I worked, they actually give you a personality test as a part of the application, like the
Mm-hmm.
interview period. And I came back with a 98% compatibility rate for the role. And so that was something that
Yeah.
I I felt so like imposter syndrome. I felt so like,
Mm-hmm.
what business do they want me to go
Mm-hmm.
and be a rep for? But that came back and I was like, well, who am I? Like, I'm not going to say no, right? And so it was a fantastic opportunity. I am very grateful that they gave me an opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
a young woman, to
Mm-hmm.
be in a sales role where you're managing your territory. I think in audiology, like I think we do see certain amounts of sexism for being
Mm-hmm.
female, but they
Mm-hmm.
didn't give me that, right? They gave
Mm-hmm.
me um, an open door opportunity. I was very respected. So it was such a new opportunity. I learned so much. It's a very different role,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so funny because everyone, like the whole world, they think sales is Wolf of Wall Street. And it's not. Like sales, especially that kind of sales, which both of you know, it's about relationships.
It
It's
is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
long-term sales. It's so different.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just so funny that I think like people view it that way. And so like through this whole time period, I have learned so much. I have built so many relationships, and then also like I have I have seen patterns through our industry. So my
Mm-hmm.
brain is constantly doing pattern recognition,
Mm-hmm.
for worse or for better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so I feel like I've seen quite a bit, and that, has contributed to me eventually opening a practice, which was
Mm-hmm.
another surprise.
Mm-hmm. Would you
But
say what led you to opening your own practice? Was it seeing the patterns in private practices that you're like, I'm going to do this myself? Or was it just totally on a whim? Or what was that
great,
story?
great question. So it's a few layers.
Mm-hmm.
One, there were some personal reasons why I knew I couldn't continue to be a rep anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm like, okay, well, what other option is there?
Mm-hmm.
I Once you open Pandora's box, I'm not going back into that clinic. I'm
No,
not.
no.
And so I actually was just going to leave the industry altogether, or
Oh, wow.
it was an option. It was like
Mm-hmm.
I want to open this business or whatnot because I also felt like so many things were stacked against me
Mm-hmm.
in a
Mm-hmm.
clinic, which they are, but then eventually full, like, the brain process full circle. I'm like, you know what? Let me just open a clinic. Couple reasons. Number one, it was for advocacy. Um, I really want to advocate, and there are so many conflicts of interest. So if you want to advocate for certain items, but you're working for someone, maybe you
Mm-hmm.
can't,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. Yeah,
And
true.
then also another facet is if we want to advocate, we actually need more audiology owned places so we can put the money back into
Yeah.
advocacy.
Yeah.
If we're working really hard for an investment company, they're just going
They
to
don't
put
care.
that money back into themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of it. And then also in my area, kind of like the quadrant that I'm in as you go north, there's not a private practice.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
your only options are ENT offices who are owned by investment firms, a New York
Mm-hmm.
investment firm and a Florida investment firm, or
very
the states.
interesting.
And
Yeah.
so it's like there's a gap, right? There's a gap
Mm-hmm.
of service in this area. I and again, like I said, it's all multifactorial. It all blends together. And when stuff like that happens, you're just kind of faced with like, okay, I guess this is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think that you make a decision, you line up with it, and you just have to believe you've made the right decision and you can't waver. I feel like if you waver, oh, should I have done that? Or what should it like? You just got to go, okay, this is my path now. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it's always going to work out for you if you are determined that that is the path that you're
Mm-hmm.
on. And I think it can be different paths, but once you make that decision that that's the one, that you just move forward with that.
Mm-hmm.
So as a new private practice owner, and just, you've talked about burnout as a young
Mm-hmm.
audiologist, that is just very interesting to me that you were even thinking about leaving the profession, because I had hired an audiologist for a while and she moved here and then she ended up leaving the profession.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I've
I'm
thought
just
about it
wondering,
multiple
yeah.
times.
And do you think that's common? You think there's other younger audiologists that are considering that too?
Yeah, me and my other audiology friends, we like talk about it all the time. Like, well,
Wow.
maybe I could just do this. Maybe I could just do this. And then, I mean, we see those Facebook posts all the
Oh yeah.
time.
That are so
I'd
negative.
say it's pretty common. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think is it the burnout of like hearing aid sales? Is it the burnout of working in fast-paced ENT clinics and being underappreciated? Like what is it both? I mean,
I think it's a
is it
little
the
bit
debt
different
load,
for everyone. I
Yeah.
think some of it is lack of respect in the workplace. Some of it is not feeling like you're getting paid enough for the amount of work you're doing.
Yeah.
And for example, for me with opening this private practice, um, I knew it was going to be so much work to figure out insurance, the laws, the regulation, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, I really, you know, if I were to open a coffee shop, I wouldn't have to deal with that amount of, regulation and work. And so that's
Hmm.
part of it too, just the amount of hurdles.
Yeah.
So, and that was in regards to the practice. So I think it's just all of that,
Hmm. Hmm.
if we could just offer our services, like,
Yeah.
and do what rejuvenates us, helping
Hmm.
people, that would be great. But we just, it's a whole nother job tacked on top of that. And like, I'll tell you, like, I tried to get, I sent in a claim for insurance for an audio. They gave me back $10, right? And so stuff like that,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hurts because I have put a lot of work to get where
Hmm.
I am. And my diagnostic exam could find a tumor. It
Yeah.
has before.
Yeah.
I have helped find an acoustic neuroma before,
Yeah.
and I get
And I'm getting
$10
$10.
just
It's
because I
so
don't know how
frustrating,
to work the
Devin. Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
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 No, so frustrating. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a conversation because I think there's such a shortage of audiologists that
Yeah.
we want more young professionals or young students to want to join our profession. But when, like you said, what you see on Facebook is negative against insurance, negative against, pay, workload, all these things, or we're against each other. Who wants to join a profession like that? It's like, and it's so unfortunate because I truly feel like I love what I do every day. Like
Yeah.
I feel fulfilled at the end of the day. I'm like, we're kind of a rare profession where we have the opportunity to feel that way.
Mhm.
But it's like, is it because I own my own practice and I can do
Yeah.
it the way I want and take care of people the way I want? I think that's probably part of it.
Yeah.
Autonomy. Yep.
Yeah,
Huge.
autonomy. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think it's important also to know who you want to be
Yeah.
in the workplace. Lindsay and I have talked about this
hmm
before. And as a starting out, you kind of have to try to figure that out. And what do you like doing and what do you want to be? And do you want to have a larger practice and work more and be
Yeah.
spread out? Or do you want to have a smaller practice and maybe just work when you want to, which is kind of where my philosophy on things.
hmm
And you have to be willing to just say no if you're going to lose a test and you're only going to get paid $10. So you have to be
Yeah.
willing to say, well, I'm sorry, that's just not, we call it our pumpkin. That's just not the
Yep.
person for me. You're not my
hmm
pumpkin based on the
hmm
book, The Pumpkin Plan.
hmm
And so but that takes experience and confidence and just trying different things to see who you want to be.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So let's see. What else do we want to ask Devin today?
I want to know. So your practice has been open for five
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Five
Yeah.
months.
Give or take.
What I want to know, what's been the best thing? What's been the best thing about opening your practice, and what's been the hardest,
Yeah.
or maybe the most unexpected that you were like, oh, I don't know how to do this.
The best thing is the feedback that I have gotten back from patients
hmm
saying they've been to so many places in the area and they finally found me and oh my God, I can hear finally.
Yeah.
The feedback that I did the right thing.
Yeah.
Love
That's
that.
been the best
hmm
thing. I'm
Yeah.
helping people. I knew I was right. Like I knew, I knew it.
Yeah.
That feels really good. The hardest thing are resources. I did not open a practice 10, 20 years ago, so this is just an assumption. But like opening a practice today, it's really hard to get found.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have Google, you have to have SEO. Oh, but everyone else has SEO, so
Yeah.
now you also have to have
Yeah.
better SEO.
hmm
So
hmm
that's been a really big challenge. And
hmm
then on top of that, like I've had people questioning, well, I can go get a free hearing test, just
Oh,
demonstrate. Why do I have to pay for yours?
Yeah.
that is
And
Not your
very hard.
pumpkin. Yeah. 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 Not your pumpkin. But yes,
Not your
very
pumpkin
hard,
yet.
yeah,
especially when getting started. Yeah. I
Yeah.
hear that.
so
Yeah.
that's
My
just been
I feel
really
like I've learned that philosophy of let them go, let them
tough.
go. They will
Yeah.
be back. It might not be in a month, it might be in 3 years, but they will recognize in time why you charge for your test. But
Or they
I mean,
don't, or they
yeah,
don't come back
yeah,
and they
or they
don't know
don't.
the
Yeah, you're
difference.
right.
But
Mm-hmm.
you still have to stick to what your beliefs and your ideas are about
Mm-hmm.
what's important. But
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about that with your website. You talk about hearing care done right and how you do a
Mm-hmm.
thorough diagnostic evaluation. And so how I know it's been difficult, but how do you get patients to understand the difference and why they should come to you for testing and fitting of hearing aids?
Mm-hmm.
That's a fantastic question. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know that I have figured out the secret
Mm-hmm.
sauce.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And this is something I've talked with my peers about this, and they have even said more recently, patients are coming in questioning, well, why should I go with you and
Mm-hmm.
not the Costco? So this is
Mm-hmm.
becoming a really common thing that we're going to have to start implementing
Yeah.
like a talk track for. But for me, what I have been doing is just being honest. I believe in honesty. And so I just tell them what patients told me. I had a patient come in. She said she went to a box office store and she didn't say which one, but there are only two. And she has bilateral otosclerosis, severe thresholds. She said that the provider there after the test told her hearing aids aren't going to work for her. She's going to need cochlear implants. Well, I know in 2 seconds she doesn't need cochlear implants. Her word rec score was in 90s, and we fit her with hearing aids, and she can hear perfectly. Like she
Yeah.
can hear great.
Fabulously. Yeah.
And so I tell the patients, like, you might be getting care, but that doesn't mean it's quality care. And
Yeah.
and hearing from patients, I get very few hearing aid patients through the door right now, and I already have like four stories, of the lack of care in other areas. And that's what I tell them because I care about their health. And so I tell them, like, it's totally up to you. I always say that I'm never going to force you to do anything, but it's important that you know the whole story.
Yeah.
You're risking if you go somewhere, you're risking if it's cheaper, there's a reason, right?
Yeah.
You're risking they're going to miss something. So that's just your decision to make. But here's the funny part too. I actually also offer a discount option. Um, so I try to service everyone as best I can. So just because they go with me doesn't mean it's going to be 7,000, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I do still give options, but as Dr. Cliff mentions all the time, maintaining best practice. And with regards to what my website says, even just understanding the anatomy and physiology, understanding the audiogram, that alone, it does set your care apart. It does, because we can do diagnostics. We understand. So let's say we can pivot in real time. We can, mask appropriately. If things don't look right, you know how to
Right.
pivot in real time, and the function behind everything. So that alone, like I said, in the 3 hearing aid patients I've seen, I have seen a difference, and they've even told me that themselves. It's a huge difference. 2 seconds with me versus the multiple people they've tried to see elsewhere.
Yes. You just keep doing the right thing. That's it. And it will pay off in the end, Devin. I'm sure, it's just going to take a little bit more time, but word of mouth will happen. And yeah.
Once you get in the
It
right
takes
circle
time.
of people. Yeah. Once you get in the right circle of people, it'll work out.
Yeah.
Well, let's do our
Yeah,
rapid
rapid
fire.
fire. Ooh,
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll start with what is one word that describes you and why?
Great question. I actually did not know how to answer this, so I asked my boyfriend. He said resilient.
Oh,
And
yeah. That's a good
so
one.
I think that's pretty fitting.
That's a good
Like I
one.
said, I didn't do all of this out of ambition. I did all of this because it was just the next door that opened. And even everything I'm doing now is literally for advocacy.
Mhm.
And like I'm willing to go down with the ship just out of ethics and
Mhm.
quality of care. So, because that's a huge risk that a lot of people don't understand. Just because you open a practice does not mean it's going to be successful. I
Mhm.
might lose everything, and I
Mhm.
understand that. And
Mhm.
so yeah, resilient
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I
I'm
like
I'm
that.
gonna keep going. So
Yeah. And we have faith that you will too, after talking to you.
If you can master any skill overnight, what would it be?
oh, how to figure out insurance or
Oh, isn't that a sad thing?
Yeah, yeah. What
it,
skill?
Because so many of us feel like that. It's
No.
like,
Leave
I
our
know.
faces. It's like, oh, insurance.
The practice is just on my mind 24/7. So if I could figure out a skill, I mean, it would be that.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Same. I'm almost 3 years in and my practice is still on my mind 24/7.
Yeah,
So
look what like you were dealing with right before you came on, right?
I know, I know. God,
Um,
insurance.
where do you see hearing healthcare 10 years from now?
I think I have been saying this to everyone in my circle. I really think things are going to change very soon, especially like 10 years from now, and for the better. And because we're having conversations like this, and we're not the only ones,
Right.
healthcare in general, like so many people are talking about the same pattern over and over. I follow a surgeon, Dr. Elizabeth Potter.
Oh, I know who she is. Yep. I've seen, oh my gosh. Yeah. This story from
Yep.
TikTok. Yep.
We're all having the same conversations. And back to your point at the beginning, I think we really do need to all join our state organizations because if you
Yes.
don't make
Thank
an
you.
effort, nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to try to change policy, but I do see it's going to change for the better. I personally.
What is a coffee order that gets you through meetings or your day or what keeps you alive?
So my go-to is a cappuccino with honey and cinnamon. Um,
Oh,
I'm
that
addicted to
sounds good.
cappuccinos. Oh yeah.
Yum.
Oh,
Yeah.
when I discovered honey in coffee,
Yeah.
that
Never
changed.
went back. Never looked back, right?
Yeah,
Do you have to
never.
carry your own honey with you? So
Oh
you,
my God. In a little packets.
I'm sorry, I
Oh
can't. I
no.
have to have my honey. Once you get used to having something.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
funny.
And I love getting a cappuccino. That's how I rate my coffee places.
Ooh.
And then also too, I try to support local as best I can.
Yes.
Most of the time they have a better cup of coffee.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Put a
support
little bit more care into their cup of coffee.
Yeah.
exactly.
And what's a sound that makes you happy?
The rain. I love the rain. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm inside and it's just like trickling down outside, I
Yeah.
So
love it.
peaceful. Hmm.
Mhm.
If money was not a concern, what would you do?
I would, I would I would, if I had all the money, I would buy out all of these chains and like chain clinics, all of it, and then I would turn it over to audiologists.
That's so interesting, and I
That
love
is
that.
so
Most people
an
say just
altruistic,
travel. I just want to
altruistic.
travel. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I love that. I know.
We
Put
know
one of
you're
your
a big
friends,
advocate
put one of
because
your
of that.
friends at each location. People
I
just have
would,
good care. Like
yep.
I truly think if
Yeah.
people had really good audiological care that was transparent and honest,
Yes.
maybe that's what we need to crack the code of only 10% of people who need hearing aids actually get them. I think
Right.
people are just confused as heck out there.
I think that's a big part of it. So that going into our next question is what's one thing our profession could do better for patients or for each other?
I would say supporting one another.
Yeah.
Mm.
So sometimes audiology tends to be a bit of like crabs in a bucket. Sometimes you have small sections where they support one another,
Yeah.
and other times no. And I think it's funny because some like when we judge new grads or whatever, we say, oh, they need to be held to this standard, held to this standard. Meanwhile, I'm looking around at all the other clinics out there. I'm like, really? This person who's made it into a doctoral program, has a 4.0, has volunteered, has X, Y, and Z on their resume. Like, why are we setting them at such a high standard?
Treat people like
We could be
humans.
supporting one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really could be. And I think that's our biggest downfall
Hmm.
because, like I said, like the biggest aspect are resources. Why are these chains doing so well? Because they have the resources.
Yeah.
Um, I could dive deep into that. They have the resources versus each individual audiology clinic, we don't. And so we're constantly having to trial error, trial error.
Hmm.
Like one example, I happen to know that Miracle Ear constitutes 60% of all mailers in the entire hearing care industry.
Hmm.
And so so a lot of people think mailers don't work. They do. Ask yourself, are you next to a Miracle Ear?
Hmm.
Because it's oversaturated. But if you're
Hmm.
not next to a Miracle Ear or you're not next to a chain, the mailers are working, most
Hmm.
likely. So it's
Hmm.
things like that.
Right.
We all know a little bit, and if we would just work together, we
Hmm.
would know a lot more.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Okay, Noelle likes this one. Which B fits you best? Be kind, be brave, be curious, be bold, be happy.
I like be kind. I like
I,
to say kindness makes the world go round. Kindness can be anything, can be helping someone out, can be giving someone a hug, can be bringing a cup of coffee. And it's sometimes it can give you just that little bit of boost of like, wow, like there are still like good people in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I stand by kindness all the way.
I
Love
love
that.
that. Well, Devin, thank you for giving us such an honest look into your journey. It's really opened my eyes, like as far as
Hmm.
what students are thinking, but from
Hmm.
student to ENT to rep and to practice owner and to advocate. And I have a feeling that you're going to be one of our biggest advocators for this profession. Your voice is refreshing and gutsy and exactly what our profession needs more of. So we can't
Mhm.
wait to watch Texas Hearing Center and the movement that you're building grow, as well as all the other things that we know you're going to do for our profession. And I'm so glad we talked to you today because it really is a great opportunity to talk to younger audiologists who are just
Mhm.
starting out and learn from them. So we're
Mhm.
hoping everyone else can learn from you as well. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It was a
Yeah,
pleasure being on here. I love what you guys are doing. Um,
thank
so
you.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
thanks, Devin. It was so nice to meet you.
thanks. And we'll see you all next time on the Sound Sisters.